Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is... When the prequel trilogy hit the theaters, most Star Wars fans knew that Anakin Skywalker was heading down a dark path.
I had a dream I was a Jedi. I came back here and freed all the slaves. Have you come to free us?
No.
Because, we'd all seen the original trilogy. But actually, in universe, there were also a lot of signs that Anakin Skywalker was going to the dark side. And that's because Force visions are a thing, and apparently Anakin's fall to the dark side was a very important and cataclysmic event for the galaxy.
What have I done?
And so many individuals who had Force sensitivity also foresaw Anakin's ultimate fall. Today we'll be taking a look at all of the individuals who had Force visions about this very important moment in galactic history. Ooh, oatmeal, yeah. Oatmeal. Almost 4,000 years before Anakin Skywalker was born, the first prophecy and Force vision about him occurred. It came from an individual within the Jedi Order who had a very high-level Q security clearance and access to the Order's deepest and darkest secrets. Her name was Q Anilia, and she was a Miraluka. This was a near-human species born without eyes and used the Force to see instead. Q Anilia happened to have some very powerful precognitive abilities, aka she could see the future. However, these abilities were oftentimes misinterpreted, and it was her vision that led to the PADAWAN massacre in the Terrace Tower, one of the most shameful moments in the Republic and Jedi's history. Q Anilia would have many different vision drops throughout her entire life, and one of them was related to the Mirror's Talisman. The Mirror Talisman was one of the legendary Great Sith amulets, one of the three created by the Sith Lord Sura Sin during the Golden Age of the Sith. The Mirror Talisman had the ability to spread the very dangerous Rakghoul plague, which turned people into Rakghouls, and the talisman could actually control those Rakghouls, which is extremely terrifying. Jedi Master Q Anilia would have a vision of impending doom related to the talisman, and see a figure that represented Darth Vader, alongside Luke Skywalker, and legendary descendant and shame to the Skywalker name, Cade Skywalker, sniffer of death sticks. Q Anilia would also be the first Jedi Master to discover that the galaxy was one gigantic disk and not a sphere. Now, most of these visions about Anakin Skywalker falling to the dark side actually went directly to Anakin himself. And one of the earliest documented visions or dreams he had occurred when he was just 16 years old. Now, deep inside the Jedi Temple at the lower levels, there is actually some remnant of the planet's original surface before Coruscant was completely covered in Duracrete. This area of the Jedi Temple was known as the Room of 1,000 Fountains, and it contained many waterfalls, flora, and large indoor lakes. The Jedi were known to retreat here and meditate. It's sort of like the prefect's bathroom in Hogwarts where Harry Potter opens the mermaid egg. One day, Anakin Skywalker is swimming in this massive underground lake, and he has this vision of himself commanding a massive fleet while thousands of slaves revolt and shout his name. He also saw himself holding his mom, Shmi, in Mos Espa, and then sensed that she would disappear forever, along with everyone he's ever loved. And lastly, he heard the words, "The one below remains below." Now, obviously, Anakin Skywalker interpreted this message as a sign that he must return to Tatooine, free his mother and all of the other slaves there. A worthy pursuit for a Jedi, even though his emotional connection to Tatooine was worrisome. YODA, however, focused on the last words Anakin heard, "The one below remains below," because that is the direct reference to Yaddle. You see, a long time ago, she had been kidnapped by a brutal warlord and kept in a pit for many decades. The locals kind of forgot her name and then called her the one below. Yaddle, just a short time ago, had been sent on an extremely dangerous mission to the world of MAUL. And unfortunately, Anakin's prophecy would be correct because it would be her last mission. And so Anakin's vision would be confirmed, but everyone would forget the other part of his vision, which is that he would one day be commanding a massive fleet, and also he would lose connection to everyone he knew and he loved, aka his fall to the dark side. Anakin's next Force vision is a lot more vivid and it occurs in 20 BBY. Anakin went on a routine mission during the Clone Wars to check out a distress call in the Corelithium system. The strange thing about this specific distress code that was being sent to them was that it was extremely dated and had not been used by the Jedi in more than 2,000 years. Anakin was in a small shuttle with Obi-Wan Kenobi and AHSOKA TANO. They arrived in the Corelithium system, expecting to meet up with Captain Rex and a Venator-class Star Destroyer. Instead, they find themselves being pulled into a gigantic crystal-shaped structure, which also simultaneously cuts off their power and communications. The three Jedi had been pulled onto the mysterious world of Mortis. This was an ethereal realm in which the Force flowed freely. Inhabiting it were three immensely powerful individuals known as the Force Wielders. There was the father, who represented a balance in the Force, and the son, who represented the dark side of the Force, and the daughter, who represented the light. There was a growing imbalance between the two siblings, and the father wanted Anakin Skywalker, the chosen one, to take over his position and maintain control over the two siblings. If the son and daughter became unbalanced, then the very nature of the Force in the galaxy could also become imbalanced. Deep within Mortis was a cavern known as the Well of the Darkside. This was an extremely powerful Force nexus of some type that flowed with immense Darkside energy. It was here that the son would show Anakin Skywalker true visions of his future. Anakin would attempt to resist and close his eyes because he refused to believe that these visions were going to happen. Amongst the things he saw included Darth Sidious, a Jedi youngling I'm assuming Anakin murders, Padme pleading with him, Obi-Wan Kenobi attacking him, and the destruction of Alderaan, and then finally an image of Darth Vader's helmet. I mean, it could be a clearer vision. It's extremely literal in how it's being portrayed to Anakin. But unfortunately, once the Jedi leave Mortis, they basically forget everything they've seen. So, I guess, on to the next prophecy. Now, Grandmaster Yoda really struggled leading the Jedi Order in its last few years. One day while meditating, the ghost of Qui-Gon Jinn interrupts him with his disembodied voice and spirit. These events lead to the Jedi Council believing that Yoda was being manipulated by the Sith or something else like that. Yoda, with the help of Anakin Skywalker, eventually escapes the confines of the Jedi Temple and follows Qui-Gon Jinn's voice. Along the way, he meets the Wields of the Force, who agree to teach Yoda how to become one with the Force and transcend death like Qui-Gon. Now, during one of these tests, Yoda enters a familiar cave beneath an old gnarled tree on Dagobah. It's the same tree that Starkiller and Luke Skywalker will visit during their own journey through the Force. But instead of facing his own inner demons in this cave, Yoda is confronted with terrible visions of the Jedi rushing headlong into battle against a bunch of clone troopers. Then he witnesses the death of the Masters in Palpatine's office, followed by the death of Shakti, who is killed by a blue Jedi lightsaber. The vision ends with Darth Sidious laughing. While Yoda's vision never clearly shows Anakin's falling to the dark side, it does indirectly show Anakin's fall to the dark side. That's because one of the first Jedi that Anakin kills during Operation Nightfall is Shakti, who just sort of is sitting there and meditating and minding her own business. She's actually also killed several times in deleted scenes and in legendary content as well. I'm pretty sure she's died the most in Star Wars history. In Legends, while the Battle of Coruscant commences with a surprise ground invasion of the Federal District and the kidnapping of Chancellor Palpatine, Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi are engaged in their own battle on the world of Nelvon. They had initially arrived on the planet in search for cyborg General Grievous, but they found that the local primitive Nelvanian people were being oppressed by the Techno Union. The industrialists had built a gigantic siphon generator that was sapping geothermal energy of the planet, which was creating an ice age. While trying to infiltrate the Techno Union's plant, Anakin inhaled what I'm assuming is toxic waste emissions and begins having a Force vision triggered by some primitive cave paintings. In his vision, he sees these cave paintings come alive. There's a bunch of Nelvanian people living in a village. One day, a great black tentacled evil approaches the villagers and one Nelvian warrior attempts to defeat it. But in the process, he is bitten by this dark evil and he loses his hand, which quickly turns into a black tentacle thing. This starts defeating the enemies of the Nelvans. At first, the warrior is excited that he has all of this power, but soon the darkness begins consuming the local villagers and even his loved ones. The vision ends with Padme screaming Anakin's name, and the Nelvan warrior's face turns into Darth Vader. Not all that subtle, but it is a clear message that Anakin will fall to the dark side. Our next vision comes sometime before the end of the Clone Wars. When AHSOKA TANO leads a Republic Mandalorian coalition to retake Mandalore from MAUL, she ends up battling against the former Sith. During the duel, MAUL attempts to get AHSOKA to join sides with him, so that together they could defeat Darth Sidious. AHSOKA TANO, after all, had seen the dark side of the Jedi and had left the Order. She was basically a free agent. MAUL explained that the Republic was too corrupted to save and the Jedi had fallen already. He also let AHSOKA know that he had a vision of his former master Sidious trying to make Anakin Skywalker his new apprentice. AHSOKA accuses MAUL of lying because he isn't exactly the most trustworthy individual. But MAUL explains that this entire battle on Mandalore was designed by him to lure Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi here so that he could basically defeat them. MAUL wanted to kill both individuals so that he could make sure that the chaos of the Sith would stop. Unfortunately, those plans never came to fruition. MAUL is defeated by AHSOKA TANO and imprisoned, and almost gets Order 66 himself. The last vision of Anakin's fall to the dark side comes from AHSOKA TANO. Shortly after defeating MAUL, AHSOKA accompanies the Sith back to Coruscant on board the Tribunal Venator-class Star Destroyer. While staring into hyperspace, AHSOKA TANO receives a vision of Mace Windu dueling Palpatine within his office, and Skywalker betraying him. AHSOKA TANO rushes to the command center of the Tribunal to inform Captain Rex that something terrible is happening to Skywalker, but before she could convince him of that, Order 66 is triggered. I'm not sure if AHSOKA TANO's vision happens before or after Anakin betrays Mace Windu, but either way, it was a truthful vision of what was happening many light years away. So there you have it, guys. Those are some Force visions that predicted Anakin Skywalker's fall to the dark side. If you guys know of any other ones that predicted, Darth Vader's rise, please let me know in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification button down below so you don't miss out on the rest of our awesome content. As usual, thanks for joining us today. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.